Hey guys, and welcome back to Let's Talk Liverpool. It's been 3 long, agonising months since watching Liverpool play, and we were made to wait as well, being the last game of the weekend, and it was a tough watching all the other teams, just waiting to see the Liverpool team take to the pitch, and yeah, well, it was a bit of a snooze fest, wasn't it? I'd be lying to you if I was saying that I enjoyed watching that Liverpool game. I think the joy of kind of just seeing Liverpool back on the pitch finished about 10-15 minutes in. It was great to see the players, some of my favourite players back on the pitch. But yeah, kind of as the game went on, you kind of saw the rustiness as you would expect, and have seen from many of the other Premier League games after the kind of restart. Had a very similar feel, I think, to kind of like the first one or two games of a season where they've been working on things in training, but they haven't got that kind of fluidity in terms of playing on the pitch, and in that match situation, and it kind of just, things kind of felt maybe a little bit forced, and there wasn't that kind of fluidity that you get with type of instinct when you play multiple games. You play them week after week, even midweek. You get that kind of fluidity and a lot of instinct in the way you play, which is obviously based on the manager's tactics and the way the manager wants to play, but is very much kind of you can see like kind of forced plays, or it's very easy to see what they're trying to do as a fan, and definitely as the opposition as well. But we've seen some of the other games in the Premier League as part of this kind of first weekend of action that started off very, very similar to ours, and then kind of sparked into action as some of the players kind of got a bit tired, and things like that. But it was not the case in this game. Both teams looked fairly fit. Everton looked pretty compact and fit in their defending. They didn't really give us any clear-cut chances. I'll come to that a little later in the episode, but we didn't really create too many chances, and as much as I think that was down to kind of us not being our attacking best, I have to give Everton some credit in that they were very compact defensively. They didn't make any mistakes like they did, when we played them back in December, I think it was, or in the FA Cup in January. They were pretty solid at the back, and I think Carlos had 3 months right to prepare for this game and think about a plan of attack to keep us quiet. So yeah, I think it was as much as our part as it was about Everton's part for the reason for Liverpool not having too many chances. Obviously, right from the beginning of before the game even started, we obviously saw some changes to the lineup that were different to kind of our best 11, shall we say. So we saw Takumi Minamino making his first Premier League start, which was great to see. Obviously, he's been someone that we've heard about in this kind of mini pre-season, who's been performing really well and has had a great attitude, and has kind of really proved his fitness. We also saw Naby Keita in as well. Again, another player who we've seen the kind of highlights, in a couple of the behind closed doors games, and he looked very bright, and I think it was really positive to see him in the team. I think he's one of those players that every time he plays now as a Liverpool fan, we kind of just hope that he'll show us that quality that we kind of know he has. Back from the Salzburg days. But yeah, it was great to see him in the starting lineup. And then obviously we're missing Andy Robertson at left back, with James Milner coming in. And obviously James Milner didn't end up staying on for too long. I haven't seen any reports that have come out saying whether his injury is serious or not. It looked kind of like a hamstring injury. It didn't look uber serious. I think it looks like they took him off maybe just as a precaution, being that obviously he's already the backup to Andy Robertson. But I think the reports are saying that Andy Robertson will be back for the Crystal Palace game on Wednesday, which is good. So hopefully it means that we don't miss out too much. But hopefully Milner come back very soon, because obviously he's a great part of the squad, and he's I think he's still got a role to play in the rest of this season. Talking about James Milner and his kind of injury, obviously we had to react, right? And Klopp brought Joe Gomez on, and Joe Gomez isn't really kind of a fullback, although he's kind of played there in the past. He's very much a centre back, and that's kind of where he's established himself at Liverpool. And so playing him on in a fullback position wasn't ideal, but then playing him in left back position as well, when he's very right footed, was a tough ask for him. And I actually think he did really, really well. Obviously at back he was kind of solid, although Everton didn't really press with any kind of continued attack to really test Joe Gomez's kind of defending abilities at left back. But in terms of even going forward, he made some good runs forward. Obviously, we're going to be comparing him to an Andy Robertson, which is kind of unfair because Joe Gomez just, he was doing a job there. That's not his position, but I thought he did really, really well. It'd be good to see him back in the team at centre back. If it looked like he played pretty much over an hour, so he must be fit enough to play that. So I'm surprised why Klopp went with Matip at centre back instead of Joe Gomez. I'm hoping to see Joe Gomez back against Crystal Palace on Wednesday, and the reason being it just we play a high line. We played it again in this game, and we kind of got caught out a bit when Lovren came on, but I'll touch a bit on Lovren later. We kind of got caught out, but by having Joe Gomez and Van Dijk, two very, very quick centre backs, it just gives us that license to push an extra 5 yards forward, because both of them do have the pace. If should anyone try and get behind us, like Zaha will try when we play Crystal Palace. But so I really like to see Joe Gomez come back into the team for that Crystal Palace game, and hopefully Andy Robertson again is fit and can take up his usual left back position. I talked a little bit earlier about Takumi Minamino making his first Premier League start, and he did look lively. A couple of great passes kind of into Firmino, trying to link up with Firmino and Mane. But I do think, and I think this view is kind of shared by lots of pundits and the media, that I don't think wide right is really his best position. He's one of those players that you can kind of tell. He will get on with whatever the manager instructs him to do. And will kind of just do the best job for best job for his teammates. However, I don't think wide right is really the position that we're going to get the best out of him. I think he just kind of gets a bit lost, and I think he ventures in anyway to allow some space out wide for Trent Alexander-Arnold. But I think he ventures in there as well because that's kind of where he's more comfortable. If I think back to the game where he played against us in the Champions League, kind of that number 10 position, like between the width of the penalty box, was where he was quite devastating, and I think he kind of gets lost a little bit out on the right hand side. So I'll be interested to see whether, if Salah's back against Crystal Palace. I think it was unsure whether he'll be fit or not. Obviously, I think the medics had basically said to Klopp, unless it's an emergency, don't play him, and Klopp heeded those messages and didn't bring Salah on even when we needed a goal. So it definitely looks like whatever he has is something serious that they don't want to really aggravate. So it'll be interesting to see whether he is back for Crystal Palace. But that right-hand side channel is... We don't really have a very good replacement there. Oxlade-Chamberlain came on in the second half, and I think he struggled a lot as well. He didn't really get into the game at all, from my perspective at least, and he kind of he just cut a figure of someone that was kind of on the sidelines of the game, basically. He couldn't really get involved. Maybe that's part of coming in at half-time and him being fresh in his first game back and things like that. Or maybe it was the position. But we don't really have someone that can deputise in that right-wing position that can kind of bring a similar type of play to what Salah does, which just shows why he's so important to the team and why we need to keep him fit and happy as much as we can. I think I would love to see Takumi Minamino play more, because I do think he has some great talents to add to the squad. I just don't think playing him in the right wing position, which I think he's played in twice now, is really the way we're going to get the best out of him. And on that point of getting the best out of players, I think we didn't really create kind of any chances, and I'm gonna put it down to the rust of not having played competitive football for 3 months. But Mane looked kind of promising, but not the same kind of direct, menacing Mane that we've all come and to love and expect really from him. And the same with Firmino as well. Some good touches and some good link-up play, but nothing really kind of penetrating. And if you look back at the highlights, Jordan Pickford didn't really have any kind of crazy saves, or we didn't have any ridiculous chances that Jordan Pickford needed saving. So I think I'm going to put it down to the rust. But hopefully against the Crystal Palace game, now that we've got this kind of first game under our belt, obviously it means that we possibly won't win the league against Crystal Palace, but I think that's okay. I'm not overly concerned about that. What I guess I'm a bit more concerned about is kind of our lack of chances that we created. Obviously we went into the lockdown not on the best of form, but we were a bit rusty today. I think I'm going to put it down to that. So hopefully against Crystal Palace, once we've shaked off some of that rust, we can really get back to kind of the free-flowing attacking football that we've seen for such large parts of this season and have got us into this position in the league where we're at. The final point I want to make and talk about is, well, we have to talk about it, is that Everton nearly snatched 3 points after pretty much creating no chances all game and Alisson being absent or pretty much just being a spectator for so much of the game. They nearly broke away and scored. Tom Davies hitting the post with I think it was about 10 minutes left to go, and it all came from Lovren just doing Lovren things. Trying to win the ball against Richarlison, trying to be too aggressive and just making it very easy for a very quick, nimble attacker to just work his way around Lovren. And unfortunately for us, it was a great little save from Alisson, which tipped the ball onto the post, and Van Dijk was able to clear. But yeah, we could have very easily had a very bad start to the restart with a defeat there. And obviously, Everton haven't beaten us for a long time, and yeah, it would have been a great coup for them, but fortunately for us, they didn't go in, and they made kind of one kind of half chance afterwards, but they only kind of happened when Lovren came on and were on his side. And I don't really like to call out players too much, but Lovren is just a liability. I think we've kind of known this for a little while now, and I think I'd be surprised if we see him at the club next season. Obviously, he's had a good history at the club. He played in some huge games. The Dortmund one springs to mind and played a big part in those games, but I think we need to look at upgrading that position. I don't think Dejan Lovren should we get an injury, in one of those key centre-back positions, that he's someone that we can really rely on to come in and do a really, really solid job at the back. So for me, the man of the match from this game has to be Naby Keita. I think he played really, really well in terms of kind of turning and attacking the defenders like we love to see him do. Obviously, he's very technical. He's got a lot of skill, and would be great to see him play longer. Klopp kind of took him off, brought on Wijnaldum, and I don't think really Wijnaldum did too much apart from make a couple of mistakes actually when he came on. So that was a bit of a shame. So I'd like to see Keita both start against Crystal Palace, but I'd also like to see him kind of stay on because he really can make that difference in terms of playing those penetrating balls in behind into Mane, into Firmino, and hopefully into Salah should he play. And obviously, as you guys know, I end the episodes with a shout out to Klopp. And the shout out to Klopp is kind of two things. So one, as I talked about with Keita, just keep playing him. I think he needs time, and also play him in the right position. And also about Taki, I think we need to get the best out of Taki, not by playing him out on the right, but by kind of playing him in that number 10 position. But that's it for this, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed the return of Let's Talk Liverpool. It's great to be back. Make sure you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel if you're not already, so you don't miss any of these videos. And thank you guys for watching and listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.